Hello everyone and welcome to Odoo Live. My name is Chetali and I'll be your host for the webinar today. I'm joined by my colleague Patrick for today's webinar.
Hello.
He will be presenting the Odoo manufacturing suite and explaining how you can manage your production planning and shop floor management using various Odoo applications.
Yeah.
As with all of our webinars, his presentation will be followed by a quick Q&A session at the end. And if you have any questions, you can always ask them in the live chat, which is on the side. And I think that's it. How about maybe you can start by presenting yourself?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Chitali. My name is Patrick. I work as a business advisor at Odoo in Belgium. What it means is on a daily basis, I get in touch with prospective Odoo users to get to know their business needs. Once I understand that, what I'll be doing is to try to map them to Odoo functionalities, to provide a demonstration so that we can evaluate together that it fits their needs, right?
Yeah.
So today's planning is about the manufacturing application. I'll have the chance to present you many different applications that we have to manage all the cycle of production, quality management, and many more.
Okay, interesting. I know that for some people who are joining us for the first time, so if you have any questions that you would like to ask, you can always ask them in the live chat. But I know that since this is an extensive and detailed webinar, if you have any questions pertaining to your enterprise, you can always get in touch with Patrick to ask him personally at klp@odoo.com.
Sure. You also have a link below the YouTube video so that you can book a personalized meeting with me if that interests you.
Yes, because if we don't have any time for extra questions, that's what we can do.
Sure.
Okay, all right. Over to you.
Thank you very much. So today is about Odoo manufacturing application for when you do production of different kind of products. It can be recipes if you are doing some mixtures. It can be assembly if you are assembling some spare parts, for example, for many different things, right? So before we start, maybe we can spend some time on the Odoo history, just to get to know what is Odoo. It will be really short. So Odoo was created in 2005 in Belgium, where we have our headquarters. We have more than 330 employees worldwide. We have offices in the United States, in Europe, in India, in Hong Kong, and since recently also in China, right? So we have implementation partners that work with us to deliver Odoo to customers. They are mostly integrators, so they can do extensive developments. Odoo is used by more than 50K companies worldwide. And we have more than 3 million users worldwide, right? So today's agenda will be on how you can use the manufacturing application to run your production orders, how you can ensure quality management for your products to make sure that you are following the right processes, you are in line with the legislation if you want. We'll see product lifecycle management. This is to be able to maintain your master data, your products, your bill of material, your routings, all of that. Then, since you're a production company, you might want also to maintain your equipment to make sure that you're getting the most out of it by improving the uptime of those equipments. If an equipment is down for any reason, you want to make sure that you alert the appropriate guys that they fix it and you can get back to business, right? You also want to schedule preventive maintenance so that you make sure that your equipment has a longer lifespan. At the end of this meeting, session, you have the chance to ask your questions. We can answer them live. If we don't have much time, you can always forward them and we'll be able to come back to you later. So here you can see a few of Odoo applications for manufacturing. You have the manufacturing, this is the core of the production applications. Then you have the PLM for when you want to introduce a new product, when you want to engineer a new bill of material or a new working processes. You have the quality control application, which is also integrated with the inventory management, let's say all the logistic flows, so that you can define in your supply chain where you want to do some quality controls. You have the maintenance application. This is for your production equipment. Beware that it is different from the repair application, which applies for products that you manufactured. The maintenance application is for your production means. Okay. Now we'll start with the manufacturing, the core application. What we are going to see is how you can define your master data, so all of the products that you maintain in your company, They can be finished product, they can be spare parts, they can also be sub-assemblies. When you want to do production, you need to define which components you want to use. That is what is called a bill of material, BOM as a shorthand. It can be called otherwise depending on the industry in which you are. Let's say if you do pharmaceutical products, they can call it a recipe for medicines. If you do, let's say, restaurants, when you create a dish, you can call it a recipe too. So it depends on the industry in which you are. But the idea is I will define a list of the finished product as well as the components that I need to use. They can be called spare parts, ingredients, whatever you want. We will also see the operations that can be involved during a production order. For example, when you want to produce a batch of 10,000 medicines, you want to see what are the processes or the operations you need to do. For example, I need to mix the ingredients, then I need to dry them, and I need to pack them. These can be, taken into account in what we call the routing. We'll actually process the production orders so that you can see how you actually launch the production, follow through, do the operations, and mark everything as done and finished. One important aspect will be the scheduling. This is for, let's say, big production runs, when you have equipment or finished products that can take longer to produce. You might want to schedule, to plan in the future for after 1 month, 6 months, or even a year, so that you are sure that you have all the needed ingredients, components, capacity to be able to produce and fulfill your customer orders. Okay. So let's turn right away to the demonstration. We have an Odoo online account, which means you can simply go to our Odoo website, odoo.com. You create an account and it is live. You can access it from anywhere in the world. What you are seeing here is the home page on which you can see small boxes. They are simply representing what we call an application. It's just like on your smartphone. If you want to do production operations, you can go to the manufacturing application. You will see the menu on the top. If possible, you also have some sub-menus. You have a section for the reporting. This is really good for business intelligence, so you can get to know what exactly is going on in your company. If you have the necessary access rights, you can go to the configuration. Then we can go to another application. Let's say the quality, the look and feel is the same. Everything is integrated. It is in the same account, in the same database. So the look and feel is the same. Now we'll start with the manufacturing. And here, the first thing you might want to do is to go and define your master data. You can define the products, you can define the bill of material to see which component will be used in the production of which finished product. You can define the routing. A routing is simply a list of operations that you want to process before you finalize a production order. The work centers are simply, let's say, the assembly chains or the location in which you will actually do the productions. So as for the products, I have a couple of them here. Our example today will be based on a company that manufactures trucks. Some trucks which are manufactured and put in stock, some which are manufactured as customized products. To clearly view my product catalog, what I can do is, for example, group them by category. If I do this, you'll notice that I have some trucks which are the finished products, but I also have some products which are spare parts that I will use to produce the final trucks. For the trucks, I have a simple one. I called it simple truck, which has 2 variants. And the variant is simply if it is a diesel truck or if it is a petrol. You can have many more choices, but to keep it simple, we'll have this one as the main difference. We have a second finished product, which is a custom-made truck, which has many more options. You can see if you want it to have a tank or if you want it to have a crane, what is the color of it, and it gives you many combinations. In our example, we can have more than 20 different variants. So Odoo will allow you to create what we call configurable products. So you can even have a website on which you will say, okay, the prospective customer will come. He will say, okay, I want a diesel truck with 30,000 liters of capacity tank and in red color, for example. As soon as they confirm, you can have your production order. Everything is automated. For the first example, what we are going to do is to produce a simple product, a simple truck, which has only a few simple components in the bill of material. So I can browse to the product and then go to the bill of material to see which spare parts are involved into the production of this one. I will see that I need 4 tires to make the truck, and I can have either a diesel engine or a petrol engine, and the truck cabin. In the truck cabin, you find the steering wheel, you find the seats, you can find many more things. This is the bill of material of the simple truck. You see that I have two engines with variants. The two lines here simply means I can use a diesel engine if I want to produce a simple truck with fuel diesel, right? So I will not have two engines, I will have only one of them depending on the variant that I choose. You can print your bill of material structure to see the content of it. If I do this, you'll notice one thing. I have the tires, I have the engines, and then I have the truck cabin with its own components. Why is that so? Simply because the truck cabin is also, let's say, made out of many more things. A steering wheel and seats, in this case 3 seats. Okay, now we can start and launch manually our production order. I'll just create one for simple truck. In this case, I want to create a diesel, to manufacture a diesel truck. As soon as I save this, I have all the components possible that I can use. I have 4 tires that I need to produce this truck. I have only the diesel engine, but not the petrol one. I have the steering wheel and the seats. This is really important because these two last spare parts are what were contained into the truck cabin. Okay, how is that possible? I will show you in a few minutes. So these are the products that I need to consume. Before I can continue the production, I might want to check if all of the components are available. For that, I can click on check. You can see that I need 4 of the tires and 4 has been reserved. It simply means that they are now available for this specific production order. And the same for all of the components. So in this case, we are happy because everything is available, so I can continue safely and produce them. It might happen that you don't have enough of the spare parts. In that case, you need to procure it. And since Odoo is integrated with the whole logistic, with purchases, with inventory applications, you can replenish your stock, get the components, and then continue with your production batch. So in this case, I can click on produce. The simple truck is something that I will track by lot number or serial numbers. Why? Because I want it to have a unique, let's say, chassis number, so that I can track it, for example, for after sales service, if I need to do maintenance. Okay. So while I'm trying to produce a simple truck, I will give it a serial number. You can change the way it is generated, but at this time it will have the number 17. And I will record the production. What you can see at this time is I have consumed 4 tires, all of the other steering wheels. I have the simple truck which has been produced, and I can see that I am now able to finish the production and to mark it as done, which I'm going to do right away. Apparently I have a message error just to tell me you need more of the other products. Yes, I have here one diesel engine. Okay, so I needed to save it. Yeah, sorry for that. So here I have finished my production order. I had a warning message. I have produced one simple truck. I have consumed all of the components. I can see that I have some inventory moves. Just to get to know and to understand what is happening, you can see that the components have been taken from the stock and consumed into the production location, and the finished product has come into my stock because I now have one truck. Second thing that you might want to see is the cost of all of this production batch. If I click on the cost analysis here, Odoo will present you with the cost of all the components. For the seats, I didn't put any cost, so it is 0. But for the tires, it has a unit cost of 140, right? Same for the steering wheel. So the total cost of this production batch will be this. Obviously, it is not including the operations, because right now we don't have any routing for this. So that is it. We have just finished our first production order. And just to summarize, what we've been able to do is to define a bill of material, to launch the production, to consume the spare parts, and to finalize all of it, as well as to track the cost of this production batch. If you want to look at the production order that you can print and hand over to your production officers, it will look something like this. You have a unique number for the production batch. you have the date scheduled for the production, you have the number of units you need to produce, as well as the components that we'll need to pick from our stock in order to finalize the production. Okay. Now, what we might want to do is to create a new, more interesting production order. This time we'll take a custom track. The custom track includes engines, tires, steering wheel, and the painting. You can see that on some of the lines of the bill of material, you have some variants. Again, it simply means this line will be used only if I select to produce this specific variant. For example, the V2 engine diesel will be chosen only if I want to produce a diesel engine. Okay. The steering wheel doesn't have anything for the variant. It will simply mean that I will always take it. Every time I want to produce a custom track, I always need this steering wheel. Okay. The only thing that we are going to change here is to add a routing. What is a routing? I will show you. The routing is simply a list of all the operations that you want to do during the production. For example, when we are assembling a truck, one thing will be to put together the spare parts, and one other thing will be to paint it in red or in blue, following our example. These operations happen in what we call a work center. In a work center, what you can find is typically equipment or labor, human labor. Okay. So I have a few work centers. On the assembly work center, I have a cost because every time I operate that work center, I have the cost of the equipment or the cost of the people working that work center, which is of 700. Same thing for the painting area. I have a cost, let's say, of 300 per hour of painting. Save this. So the only thing we have changed compared to the first bill of material is that now on top of having the components, we have the list of all operations we need to do. We also have two engines. So let's print the bomb structure so we understand how it looks like. You can see that the engine, be it the diesel one or the petrol, also has some sub-assemblies. Why? Simply because if we want to produce a truck, we first need to get the engines, which are made out of different components. In our example, if we launch a production order, Odoo will create also a production order for the sub-assemblies. It can be a V2 engine, diesel or petrol. When we finalize the production of this sub-assembly, then only we'll be able to continue with the remaining production. Okay. So I will create a new production order here. We can take custom, let's say, custom truck heavy duty. So here we want to create, to manufacture one custom truck in color red. It has a diesel engine with a standard crane and of 5,000 liters of capacity. Okay, for example. What I might want to check is the components of this bill of material. I need only the V2 engine, while on the bill of material I have two lines. So Odoo is smart enough to select only the components that you need for this specific variant. The tires, the steering wheel, because it's mandatory. Every time I need a truck, I need a steering wheel. And the red painting and not the blue one. Why? Because simply I need a red truck and not the blue one. From here, you'll also notice something, which is the fact that I can plan now the production of this specific batch. Why? Because I added a routing that specifies that, okay, I will need these components, but I also need to fulfill this and that operation. You can see that for this production order, I have two operations to do. Right now, I haven't produced any, I haven't done any operation. So I can click here and see the operations which are planned. I see two of them, one which is ready, and it is the first operation ever. So I can go and say, okay, I need to start the process. So here I can have some steps in the assembly. One step can be first you fix the plates and then you fix the screws and so on. So whenever I finish this, I can, I need to give a serial number to the production batch that I want to do. I can mark it as done. Here, what we can tell is, I have this one. sorry, I have my production order number 7, for which I have started one operation. You can see 1 out of 2. But something else that you'll notice is I have a second manufacturing order for the engine itself. Why do I have this? Because it is automatically created from the truck production order. I need to fulfill the production of the engine so that I can use this engine into the production of the truck itself. Okay? So leaving my production of the truck, I can come and fulfill the production of sub-assemblies, in this case only the engine. I put it into my stock, markers done, and I can now resume the truck production. You'll see that I need to consume one engine, and the one engine is already reserved. Okay, so I can continue, I can go on with my operations. There is only a second one that I need to fulfill. I have finished the assembly of the spare parts. Now I can go on and do the painting itself. So I will go do the painting. You can have a timer to see how much time it is taking you to do the painting. If it's taking too long and you need to go for the lunch break, for example, you can put on pause, and then you can come after 1 hour. Odoo will track the exact time that you are spending. When you come back, you can resume. If there is anything, you can come and block, for example, the production, let's say, work center, because of any reason you can think of. For example, there is process defects, there is material which is not available. But if everything is okay, you can finalize your production, right? Now, if you go back to the production order, one thing you'll notice is I have completed 2 out of 2 operations. I have consumed all the spare parts that I wanted. I have produced the only truck that I wanted. I have given it a serial number. In this case, we can call it chassis number, which is unique. Now what I can do is to finalize the production. As soon as I do this, I can go again and analyze the cost for this one. You'll see same thing as in the previous operation batch. We have the cost of components, which is 1,000 plus, but also the cost of operations. And this is important because it is coming from the routing. The routing again is the list of operations, which can be done by equipment or by human resources. So we have a total cost of 1,388. Okay, you can print this, but this is specific to this production order only. So what we have just done is we have finished how to create a production order, how to follow up on the routings, how to create a bill of material which is flexible or configurable. Okay. Next. So here we have seen a simple bill of material, a configurable one thanks to the variants, so that the lines of your bill of material can be only specific to one variant, but not all of your variants. We have seen also a multi-level bill of material. An example is the last bill of material for the custom truck, in which the engine is also a product that I manufacture. Okay. We have seen the work centers and the routings. Just to spend a bit more time on it, if I go to my master data, what I can do is I can go in the work centers first. I have only 2 work centers in which I can have some equipment which are working. For example, I have an assembly line with a conveyor belt so that the trucks can be, produced in a line, right? If I go to the painting area, I only have a painting gun so that I can paint all of my trucks. So far, so good. We go to the routings and we have only one for 2 operations, 1 operation in every work center. Okay. So with this, what we have seen is a simple master data and simple production orders, cost analysis, stock moves. There's something more interesting, which is the production scheduling. If you produce a product of high value and which can take really a lot of time before you actually produce them or before you receive the equipment or raw materials to produce them, what you want to be able to do is to schedule in the next 2 or 4 months what you need to produce and which components you need. For that, you need to use the master production scheduling. Okay. So first, you need to activate it, which is already done here, but you can go to the configuration, and then you activate the master production schedule. You can say how you want to see the schedule by default. Is it on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis, on a daily basis? This is typically up to you, depending on the nature of the product that you manufacture. Once you do this and you save, you'll have a new menu in the planning, which is master production schedule. In this production schedule, what you can do is to add all of the products that you want to be able to track. So I'll say I want to track the simple track. It's a bit the same thing. Sorry, but you get the point. When you add a product, you will see first the demand forecast. This is something that you can manually add and say, okay, I know that this month I need to fulfill to produce 10 tracks. And then you can have the indirect demand. This is typically valid for sub-assemblies. You remember the engine? The engine is a sub-assembly. Maybe I can need to sell it directly to my customers, but most of the time I will need to produce it in order to use it in another production order. Okay, so it will go here. The quantity to produce is the quantity that I really need to produce based on the already scheduled operations, like a production order, a sales order already confirmed for this product. And then the forecasted inventory is what I want to be able to keep in my stock as, let's say, as a security stock. Let's say, since this is a simple track, I want to be able to keep 2 in stock at any time, because I know that I can sell them anyway. So I put 2. Every month, I will be producing at least 2 items to put them in stock. But if it happens that I need to sell 20 to some customers, for that specific month, I will need to produce 20 more, for example, so that if I sell those 20, I can keep my 2 of security stock in-house, right? Whatever you do here, you are simply planning, or you are simply simulating what would happen if the demand goes up or if the demand goes down, okay? So you can change here and say, okay, now what happens if I need to deliver 15? Odoo will tell you, in that case, you need to produce 17. You can have it for one product, but imagine that you can have it for more than one product at once. Whatever you do here, you can apply the changes, or you can launch the green cells to ask Odoo to launch the productions automatically. So you don't need to go and create manual production orders as we did it for the 2 past production orders. Okay. You have many filters here for the period. For example, by default, it is monthly. I'm seeing my planning on monthly basis. I can go and see it on a weekly basis. You can see with 16. I can see it on a daily basis so that I can follow up every day. You can also decide what you want to show here. If you have a list of 10 or 20 products, you don't want to see all of the details. So I can go in the rows here and I say, okay, I don't want to see the starting inventory, or I don't want to see the indirect demand, or I don't want to see what I need to produce. In this case, I think it's really interesting to see it anyway. Okay. So for the master production schedule, what it will allow you is to be able to schedule your production, taking into account the demands that you have, which is an aggregate of all the orders that you need to fulfill at a given point in time. You can plan for the next 6 months if you want. Okay. Is there any question that we can take in the meantime?
Sure. Actually, we have some questions over here. Maybe we can take. We have 5 here right now.
Yes.
Before to kind of like slow down and take you. So the first one by Heymanat EA, who would like to know how to integrate online-only hotel management system.
Okay, here the question is about hotel management system, which we understand can have its own needs. For hotel management system, you might want to do bookings of hotels, of rooms and others, which is a bit off topic for today. The only things that you might want to see, which maybe can be related to hotel management, is if you are running a restaurant, you have an application for that, which is the point of sale for restaurants. Okay. It can be linked to the manufacturing application, because when you sell some dishes, you might want to create a list of components that will go into the recipe. As an example, I can go to the master data. I can create one dish, which we'll call something typical for Belgium, for example, French fries.
French fries, why not? Yeah.
It's cheap, I know, but it will give you an example. So this will be the finished product. and I can say it is a kit, and here I will put all of the ingredients to be able to produce the dish in the point of sale. But for hotel management, I believe it is a bit off topic.
Yeah, and I think if you'd like, maybe you can get in touch with Patrick directly, and he can show you how he can work it for your company.
Sure.
Bit complex to do in a short time webinar.
Sure.
All right, let's move on to the next question. We have Mohamed Usman Anwar, who would like to know how he can create demand slips for MOs.
Sure. Just to make sure we understand, what you mean by demand slip is maybe before you start the production, you want to have a picking order that you can give to your warehouse officer. They will go in the warehouse, they will collect all of the goods, and you will be able to say, okay, I have a delivery order here to tell to Odoo that I have actually moved the products or the components from the stock to the shop floor.
Right.
That is totally possible. What you need to do is to go and activate the advanced routes into your inventory. So you can go to the settings. It requires some time. I will not be doing it right now.
You can just
but
show how it can be done.
You need to activate the routes here. And then you can define a new routes that say, okay, I need to take something from my stock and put it to whichever other location that I want. So you need to create a new location, for example, or to simply use one in your production location, right? If you want more advice on this, we can offer some consulting on that, or you can get in touch with me so that you can analyze your project. If you have one, I'll be glad to assist further.
Perfect. Another question by Mahdi Nukrati, who wants to know how can we use MPS when we have around 500 products? Do you add them all to MPS or plan by product? That's a very good question.
Yes, just to read it second time, how do you use
master production strategy
MPS when you have about 500 products? Yes. Do we add them all to the MPS, or do you plan by products? You need to add all of them. Hopefully you do it once and then you use them. And for the remaining ones, it will be an incremental addition. So you need to add them, all of them.
Perfect. And another question by Rosan Vladimirov, who would like to know how we can use equivalence and BOM to replace base materials at any time.
Yeah, sure. This is really an interesting question. So here we are talking about equivalent bill of material. And the question is really specific, saying, okay, if I have already planned the production order and I suddenly want to change one component, can I do that? So you can create your equivalent BOM, for example. And once the production is started, what you can do is, this one is confirmed but not yet started, and I can unlock it, which means I can come and edit the list of components here. You can see that because now I have an add an item link here in which I can go and select the replacement product. Okay.
Okay, I think that also answers one of our other questions, which was asked just below by Mahdi, how to replace or edit consumed components after creating a manufacturing order. As you can see, you just simply click on edit. And that's it.
Yeah.
We skipped one, which was by Sam Duru, who would like to know if the scenario is possible. Subcontracting an operation inside the route. So
that's really an interesting one. So here we have a question about subcontracting.
Yeah.
But more specifically, if I have a list of, let's say, 3 operations, I want to subcontract only the second operations. That is possible. It's simply configuration, and you'll need a bit to play with the sub-assemblies that you want to subcontract. So you'll need eventually to create one sub-assembly, which is only the parts that you subcontract. And then you can send it out for subcontracting. You need to define a location for subcontractor. You need also to, if you want, you can forward your bill of material for only that sub-assembly. So it can be more or less complex depending on your actual scenario, but there's definitely something you can do about it.
Good. I didn't know that actually, so that's good to know. Another question by Starline Full. Is it possible to set multiple routes for work orders? Of course, yes.
For work orders?
Yes, multiple routes for work orders.
Yes, what is possible is I can have, for the same product, I can have many routings. The routing will simply define the routes that you want to use for a specific scenario. So I can have one product, for example here, I will quickly do it. I can take French fries, I duplicate it, I give it a routing, allow me to use the custom track on the routing, and I can have a second one. And with another routing, but you can have more than one bill of material for the same product, and each bill of material can have its own routing. So that is definitely possible, yes.
Okay, so before we get to the next questions, because I see the next couple of questions are about costs, I know that Patrick will be covering that actually in the second part of his presentation. So maybe we can continue with your second part and then take the questions relating to cost afterwards.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Here, there is one question about the cost, actually, which is linked to employees with different salaries working on the same item.
That's unfortunately, let me take that one.
Sure.
So since this webinar is solely on manufacturing, we would like to stick to the manufacturing related questions. So I know that, so let's just maybe in briefly, is it possible to have different salaries on the manufacturing?
Not on the manufacturing.
It would be on
Actually, the
employee.
cost of labor in the manufacturing application is defined on the work center. And as you can see on the work center, you can define one estimated cost, which is up to you to define. You can decide that it is taking into account the equipment cost, but also the labor cost. Since it is not one cost per employee, you need to do an average. So you can have a good enough idea of what will be the average cost, even if the, let's say, the employee cost is changing.
Yeah.
Now, I understand in some situation, it might be, you might want to be more precise than that. If you hire daily labor, and it can change, but you can already have it on the work center as a generic cost, right?
Okay.
Good. I see we have a lot of questions. This is really interesting.
Yeah.
We'll be able to answer remaining questions in the chatter, and even after the webinar. What I suggest is we carry on and we go to the next applications.
All right.
The next thing we would like to show you is the quality management of Odoo. So when you do production, you can have many reasons to set up a quality management plan. A typical reason can be to comply with some legislation. Let's say you want to be ISO compliant for one of the ISO certifications. Another one can be that you detect that you have a high rate of defects on one of the assembly lines, and you want to find out why is that so and correct it right away. So if we go back to our system, we see the quality application. If we log into it, we can design many different quality teams. For example, we only have one. We can go and create a new quality team, let's say, for quality for trucks. As soon as you create a second one, it is added on the dashboard, and we can see all the current operations ongoing on that team. Second thing that you can do is to define the control points. You want to say, okay, for a specific product, I want to define a check, which can be mandatory or random, on a specific point in my logistic center. So I create one. In this case, let's say we'll do it for a simple truck. You can do it for diesel or only for specific variants. And we'll say that we want to do the quality check in process. So we can do it at receipt of a component, during internal transfers, at delivery to the customers. But in this case, since it is a produced item, I want to do the quality check in process. Okay. If I do it during the production, I can even say at which step do I want to do it, to be more specific. When you are assembling the screws, then do the quality check to see if the screws are of the right size. Okay. Then the control type, I can say for every single operation, I want to check the quality. Or I can say, no, it's too costly to do that and it takes more time. So I want to do it randomly so that I make sure that we have a good trade-off between the quality and the cost. Or you can say, I want to plan it periodically. Every while and then I want to do the quality check on everything. In our case, let's say we do it always. And then the test type will be a simple pass and fail. For example, is the color clear? I will say yes or no. That's the quality check. But you can have something more elaborate, for example, to take a measure. Let's say I want to measure the size of the screws that go on every wheel. I can check and say, okay, is the size between, let's say, the norm is 2 millimeters. The size, a good size should be between 1 and 3. Beyond that, above 3 or below 1 is considered as a bad quality. Okay. So I will save this one, but I can have many quality checks. So I'll create a second one, again, for the tracks, and this time I'll say pass and fail. Let's say paid is okay. This is a question. So I have 3 quality checks, and here screws size. Now I can go to the production and raise a production order manually. I'll take a simple truck, diesel. I save it. As soon as I save this, I can see the quality checks here. I check availability of my components. I can go to the production. I record the production. I need to give it a unique serial number. Record the production. But I can also do the quality check. First one is if it passes and or fails my check. I say fail. Second one was the measure. I can say in this case it will be the norm 2, so it is within the checks. As soon as I finish all of the quality checks, I will see that on the button here it is highlighted in red. We'll understand why. Simply because we have one of the quality checks which has failed. So that way you can see for all of your production orders the ones which are problematic, and then you can raise a quality alert and say, okay, watch out, here there is a problem. You'll fill in the description of whatever happens. You save it so that the guys into the quality shop floor can come and take the necessary actions on it. Okay. If we go back to the quality application, we can go in the quality checks here. We can see again those that have failed, those that have passed. And you can come and do the filters here to keep only those that have failed so that you can take action on it. You have a pivot table. This is good for analysis so that you can see on which product I have some issues. Okay. You have a graph view, for example, so that you can visually have an insight of, okay, I have 50% of quality checks that are failing. So you know you need to take action. You can dig deeper into what is happening so that you can correct all of the issues. So in a nutshell, what we have just seen for the quality assurance is how you can define the control points and say, okay, at a certain point in my logistic chain, I will define a specific type of quality checks. Again, it can be during the receipt of components or raw materials, during delivery to customers, when you move goods from one location to another, or during the production or manufacturing operation. Okay. Some questions maybe?
Sure, if you'd like. Actually, I have a lot of questions popping up, so maybe
Sure.
that's a good idea. I think we stopped at a question by Jamie, oh yes, we answered that. And Suzanne too, who wanted to know if you could use standard cost or average cost to determine COGS.
Yeah, the COGS is the cost of goods sold. If you want to compute the cost of goods sold, you need a proper configuration of your products. Typically, you need to account for it in real time, real costing, and then you can define the accounting. The accounts in which you want to post all of those costs, and then it will be taken into account when you ship or when you sell. That is a whole configuration. The thing that is important is to actually have the right cost of your products on the product form. You'll notice that if we go to products, you can also browse by simply typing here. If we take a truck, for example, a simple one, it has 2 variants. Every variant can have its own cost. For example, here I can put its own cost here. You can also, in Odoo, you can compute the cost of a product simply based on its bill of material. For that, you need to install a small application, which is called Product Extended. And you'll have a button to say, okay, based on the content of the bill of material, I want to compute the cost of this product. I want to save it also on the cost field of the product. Once you have that cost, and if you configure your stock accounting correctly, you'll have the proper cost of goods sold later. Just to finish on that part, I will go to the products. I'll take maybe French fries.
We love our fries in Belgium.
Sure. And you can see that now I can compute
From
from
BOM.
the BOM. Unfortunately, in the one, I think all of the bills of materials,
We haven't defined.
I didn't define the cost of the components. I will archive these ones. I'll keep this one, and I didn't have even any component. So
Potato.
yes, potato. It's quite obvious, potatoes. And one thing that I will do is I'll give it a cost. Let's say 4, just for the example, and I'll say I need 3 potatoes,
Right.
so that you can see it. If I am back on my product here and I click on compute, I think I have an issue now. I don't know why. Did I delete it? Yeah, this is okay. No, I should do this. Back again. This time we are lucky. No. This is what happens in life.
Yeah, we're working through it.
Sure. Give it one more try. Okay. Don't know.
Maybe
We'll
because
try
you need to add one more because it's only one product in the BOM.
I'm not sure, but we'll say
Oil.
oil. Not sure. Say oil. 2. Hopefully we are lucky this time. 1 and this. Goods. And
No.
okay, no. Anyway, not really
So
a
it is
big deal.
possible.
The idea is you can really compute it. So give it one last try. We are trying, huh? And to do this. Oops, no. Anyway, you can give it a try, and maybe you can report to us if anything, right?
Okay, moving on to the next one. I gave a lot of questions. All right. How would we plan manufacturing processes for companies that produce customized items? That is, those products that are tailored for specific customers' needs.
Yes. How would you plan manufacturing processes for companies that produce customized items? That is, those products are tailored for specific customers' needs. Yes. In that case, you'll have phase of engineering before you even start the production order. And that is actually a good question because it will lead us to the third application, which is the PLM, Product Lifecycle Management. For example, we can have a base or default or standard product, which can have some variations based on what the customer wants. We can take our example with a tank. We only produce tanks of 3,000 and 5,000 liters of capacity. Let's say you have a big customer who wants 10,000 capacity, which will require that you also think how you create the whole structure of the truck. You need a more solid, let's say, base of it, many tires. So you'll go through a phase of engineering. When the product is finished, then you can launch the production order, right? Now you can also select which bill of material you want to use for every new customer, right? From the sales order. That is also possible.
Okay. All right. Rosen Vladimira would like to know how to remove reserved product after unlock in BOM. Is there possible to add only new?
Sure.
I think something we just showed that just before as well.
Yeah,
right?
we just showed. So you can add new products. That is straightforward. But for products that were already on the bill of material or on the production order, you can simply change their quantity. You can simply set it back to 0, right? But you cannot remove them for good.
From the list.
Sure.
Okay, so add quantity to 0.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe we can take one last and we continue. How?
Okay, let's take the one by Bernard Kubler. Okay, that's which we just discussed. Is the unlock feature available in Odoo 10?
It is not available on Odoo 10 stable version, but it is available in a SaaS version, and that's an interesting point. So you can use Odoo on premise, so if you download it to install it on your own server, and you can use Odoo on our cloud or SaaS server. So for people using Odoo on the cloud server, they can benefit from minor improvements. And we already had the possibility to use the lock and unlock feature in Odoo SaaS. But as far as I see, in Odoo 10, you didn't have that feature. And actually, it is on the manufacturing order. I even think that, it was already available in a SaaS version, not on a stable Odoo 10.
Okay. All right.
Great.
Let's go back to your demo.
Sure. What we are going now to do is the lifecycle of product lifecycle. So if we go in the PLM, the same thing, now you start getting it. We have what we call a dashboard with all of the different, operations type we can do. Here we can have a new product introduction, but the same, we can go and define a new thing, which is product Reengineering. And we now have two operations on the dashboard. Let's say today we want to change one product. First, since this is a new team, I will set up that we have a new request to do reengineering. Then we have in progress, and the reengineering work can be validated or cancelled, for example. So this is similar to the CRM pipeline or the project pipeline. You can really easily change your workflow. You can rearrange the stages this way, and you can say at some point, I want that before I move from this stage to another stage, I want to do an approval. So I can say this is the product owner, whose name is Patrick. Patrick needs to validate this before he sends it to another stage. You can set it as mandatory or as optional, or you can simply say they can give their own comments. So you can give many people here in the list to allow them to make sure that the product we are about to release is okay and up to our expectations. Okay. Once something is validated, we'll say it is in the final stage, and we can allow to apply changes. That's what we keep. Now, I can create, let's say, re-engineering of a simple track. In this case, I'm going to change the simple track bill of material. I'll save this, and I will start the revision. I want this reengineering to be effective as soon as possible. It means as soon as we finish, I can really validate it, and only the new bill of material will be applicable. I could have decided to change the bill of material and the routing, or only the bill of material, or only the routing also. Now that I have started doing the changes, I can put it in progress. If I go back to the overview, I can visually change it if I want to do. But if I want to put it as validated, Odoo won't allow me because I have said that I need to approve it before I can validate it. So I can click on the bill of material and say, okay, right now, the only bill of material that is known to us for this product has the tires, engines, and the track cabin. I can say in this case, I want a more solid track. I want 6 tires. I want a track cabin, and I want, let's say, leather interior. I'll say it is a consumable, just for the sake of it. Now I have a revision. The responsible, Patrick, is listed here. He will get a notification to come and validate this change. He can come and approve. Once he has approved, he can now put it into the validated stage. Now, the only thing that will be left is to actually say, I want to apply the change. At this time only, if I go and check the new bill of material, it will have the new components. But if I go back to my engineering change order, I will see the changes that I have done. One was I had 4 tires before, and I wanted to use 6. So I have an update of 2 tires that I need for this bill of material. And then I added the new product, which is interior leather, so to upgrade the class of it, so it is 1 unit more. If I remove something, you will see the type here will be removed or decreased, depending on what I do. So what we've been able to do is to create a different lifecycle management work team, how to create your own workflow, how to process an engineering change order step by step. Again, you can use this to introduce new products, but you can use this also for custom, orders from your customers. As the question was raised here, I can have a standard bill of material, and if I have a slight change, I can create a new bill of material manually, but I can use the PLM to make sure that I'm following a defined process which is compliant with our quality standard. Okay. Again, you can go in the reporting to see how many change orders you have validated, how many are effective, and so on. Last topic, but not the least, is the maintenance. In the maintenance application, again, it is important to know that this is the maintenance of your production assets. If you use a tool to cut the steel plate, sometimes it can break down and you need to maintain it. First thing that we'll define is the maintenance, the equipment themselves. We had the painting guns, a gun for example, on which you can give different information. Who is the vendor, what is the vendor reference, a serial number for example, and a warranty. If it is guaranteed till let's say end of year, you can put it here. But also you will define some maintenance, let's say KPI. This is typically copy-paste. You can simply go to the datasheet, the technical datasheet of the product, and you can say in the catalog, they say I need to maintain it every let's say 6 months, for example. You can say what is the expected time before it actually breaks down. You can say on average 70. I'll get there. This is it. By doing this, Odoo will schedule the preventive maintenance. So you'll have a calendar in which you can go and check, okay, next day, for example, or next week or next month, I need to do maintenance for the painting guns. You can do the same for every single equipment that you have. As soon as you have a maintenance for an equipment, you will see it listed here, okay? You can wait until the maintenance request is raised automatically because it is a preventive, but what can happen is you can really have a corrective maintenance. You can, one of the way to do it can be to manually create a maintenance request for breakdown for, let's say, a painting gun. I can create it manually here, but I can also raise the maintenance request from the production order itself, okay? So I don't need to come and do it manually here. So this is a corrective one. I can link it to the production order if I want, but it has a workflow. As soon as I schedule it, I can assign a responsible, say that it is in progress. If there is anything, I can communicate with my colleagues by blocking it. I try to find what is the issue. If everything is fixed, I can make it ready or in progress. I can put it in the repaired stage. I can put it into the scrap stage. You can have a maintenance calendar on which you can go and plan, okay, I know something is broken, but I can come and plan something for tomorrow. The same thing, we have the same form here to fill in and follow through. Just to show again from the production phase, we can come here. Let's say we have something like this one in progress. No, this one doesn't go through the work centers. So yeah, this one does. I can launch a maintenance request here. There's painting guns, and I'll have it linked to my production order. So you can see during this production, I had a breakdown and I needed to do a maintenance. Okay. Well, this was one of the last applications for manufacturing, which is the maintenance. Just to come back to the beginning, the applications that we have seen today is the core production application, how you can manage the life cycle of your products, how you can do quality control, how you can do maintenance. I hope that you had enough information for today and that we can continue the discussion. If you are having a project on which you want to work with us, we can assist you with a one-to-one demonstration. We can answer your pending questions also in the chatter, and feel free to connect with us if you are already one of our Odoo users. You can connect with your project manager, if any, or our support if you don't have a project manager.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Patrick. That was a very incredibly detailed and informative webinar. I really appreciate that, and I'm sure people watching appreciate that as well.
Sure.
We just have the last few questions. Let's get to those. We are one by Bernard Kubler, who would like to know how to set up a system in which serial numbers are not created automatically when creating an MO.
Yeah, sure. By default, you do not have the serial numbers automatically set, so you can decide to do your production orders without the serial numbers. If you activate the serial numbers, then you need to define for which product you want to be able to track them by serial numbers or lot numbers. Okay. If we go in the settings in inventory, first we need to make sure that the serial number is activated here. Once we do that, we can go on every single product. Group here. I'll take the simple track. I didn't click on it.
Yeah.
And you can say this one, I want to be able to track it by unique serial numbers. As soon as you do this, then it is mandatory for you to generate a serial number, which obviously is incremented by 1 every time by default.
And just to point out, because I think Bernard's question was more about not creating serial numbers. As you can see on the third one is no tracking.
Yep.
So you can also click on no tracking to make sure that none of your products are tracked, if that's what you need.
And that is the default. By default, you don't activate it. But if you activate the serial number, you can say, for this product, I don't want to track it with serial numbers. But if I do want to track it, then it becomes mandatory. So it's up to you really to choose this.
Okay, excellent. Moving on, we have another question by Bernard, who would like to know if the PLM approval matrix is also available to other Kanban stages.
Which one?
The PLM approval matrix also available to other Kanban stages.
Yes, actually, you can do it on every single stage. Actually, if I go in PLM, I can take any PLM here. So I can go on every single stage, edit, and say I want to do the approval here. Okay, you set the roles, you define who is going to approve what, or give a comment, and then it will apply for that stage.
Perfect. Thank you. I think that's the last of the questions.
Sure.
And that actually ends well because we are running out of time. So thank you very much everyone for participating, and thank you again, Patrick.
Welcome.
For your explanations, your patience. Again, if you guys like this video, please don't hesitate to subscribe to our channel. We do webinars every Thursday on various topics on all the different Odoo applications, so it's always interesting to learn more. If you like the video, if you like Patrick's presentation, please don't hesitate to click on like, share it on your social media, or to write a comment.
Thank you.
That's all that we have for today, and thanks for your participation. Goodbye.